My name is Sarah Mitchell, and for the past 5 years, my family thought I was nothing more than a janitor at NextGen Technologies. They weren't entirely wrong. I did work as a janitor there, but what they didn't know was that I also owned the company. I never planned it this way. Growing up in the prestigious Mitchell family, I was expected to follow a certain path. My sister Olivia became a corporate lawyer, my brother Marcus was an investment banker, and I was always the odd one out. A business degree from a state school. My mother had scoffed when I graduated. Olivia went to Harvard Law. Marcus went to Wharton. What happened to you, Sarah? What happened was that I had a different vision. While they chased prestigious titles and corner offices, I saw an opportunity that nobody else noticed. It started during my senior year of college when I interned at a small tech startup. The founders were brilliant programmers but had no business sense. Within 3 months, they went bankrupt. That's when I realized something. The tech industry was full of brilliant minds who didn't understand business fundamentals. They needed someone who could bridge the gap between innovation and profitability. Someone like me. After graduation, I took my modest savings and started buying shares in struggling tech companies. My family thought I was wasting my time. Playing with penny stocks while your siblings are building real careers, my father would say, shaking his head in disappointment. Then came the opportunity that would change everything. NextGen Technologies was a failing startup with revolutionary ad technology. Their CEO had just quit, their stock was worthless, and they were weeks away from bankruptcy. Using everything I had, plus a loan from my grandmother, the only person who ever believed in me, I quietly bought a controlling interest through a series of shell companies. But I knew that walking in as a 25-year-old female CEO would trigger immediate resistance. So I made a decision that would shape the next 5 years of my life. I took a job as the company's night janitor. A janitor? Olivia had laughed when I told the family. Oh, Sarah, this is a new low, even for you. At least try to get a real job in the company. Little did she know, I was already revolutionizing NextGen from the inside out. During the day, I worked remotely as the mysterious CEO who communicated only through email and video calls, using voice modulation software. At night, I cleaned offices while observing everything happening in the company. It was the perfect cover. Nobody suspects the janitor. Nobody watches what they say around the cleaning staff. I learned about every office drama, every project challenge, every employee concern. I knew who was productive and who was just playing politics. I understood my company in a way no regular CEO ever could. Years passed and NextGen Technologies transformed. Our AI technology became industry-leading. Our stock price soared. We expanded globally. Meanwhile, my family's pity for me grew stronger. Still mopping floors, Sarah? Marcus would ask at every family gathering. You know, I could get you an entry-level position at my bank. At least it would be respectable. My mother took every opportunity to compare me to my siblings. Olivia just made partner at her law firm. Marcus is handling billion-dollar mergers, and Sarah, well, at least she's employed. Each comment stung, but I kept quiet. I focused on building something extraordinary while they focused on appearances. My sister bought a mansion she could barely afford. My brother leased luxury cars to impress clients. I lived in a modest apartment and drove a used car, investing everything back into NextGen. Then came last week's annual family reunion. As usual, it was held at my parents' sprawling estate, where success was measured by the size of your house and the brand of your watch. I arrived in my old Toyota, wearing the same dress I'd worn last year. Oh honey, my mother sighed, eyeing my outfit. You know, we could help you if you're struggling. There's no shame in asking for help. I just smiled and took my usual seat at the far end of the table, away from the successful members of the family. Dinner conversation revolved around Olivia's latest high-profile case and Marcus's upcoming merger deal. Speaking of mergers, my father suddenly announced, I heard NextGen Technologies is acquiring Sullivan Systems for $2 billion. Incredible how that company turned around. Sarah, you work there. Did you hear anything about this while cleaning offices? I took a sip of water, hiding my smile. Actually, yes, I did hear something about that. Olivia rolled her eyes. What would a janitor know about billion-dollar acquisitions? I bet she doesn't even understand what a merger is. That's when I decided it was time. 5 years of hiding, of being underestimated, of swallowing their condescension. It was enough. I pulled out my phone and made a call. Hi, Lisa. Yes, please proceed with the press release we discussed and email the merger documents to the Mitchell family lawyers. Yes, all of them. The table fell silent. Olivia's phone buzzed first. She opened the email, her face turning pale as she read. Marcus's phone buzzed next, followed by several other relatives who worked in corporate law or finance. This must be a mistake, Olivia stammered, staring at her screen. This says the CEO of NextGen Technologies is Sarah Mitchell? I stood up slowly, enjoying the shocked expressions around the table. Not a mistake, sister dear. I've been CEO of NextGen for the past 5 years. Did you really think I was just cleaning offices all this time? The chaos that erupted next was worth every moment of the past 5 years. My mother dropped her wine glass. My father started choking on his steak. Olivia kept opening and closing her mouth like a fish out of water. But, you're a janitor, Marcus spluttered. I was a janitor, I corrected him. And also the CEO. Amazing what you can learn about a company when nobody notices you're there. By the way, Olivia, your law firm is representing Sullivan Systems in the merger. I look forward to seeing you in the negotiations. I picked up my bag and headed for the door, pausing just long enough to savor the absolute silence behind me. Oh, and Mom, don't worry about my outfit. I could buy this house and everything in it with what I made just this morning. But unlike some people, I don't need expensive things to prove my worth. As I walked to my car, my phone started buzzing with messages. Suddenly, relatives who had ignored me for years were desperate to talk. My brother, who had never asked about my life, was now keenly interested in catching up. And my sister, who had spent years mocking my career choices, was frantically trying to schedule a lunch meeting. But this was just the beginning. Tomorrow, I would walk into NextGen's headquarters through the front door for the first time as CEO. And my family, while they were about to learn that success doesn't always wear designer labels or come with an Ivy League degree. The next morning, I stood in front of NextGen Technologies' gleaming headquarters, my hand resting on the door handle. For 5 years, I had only entered through the back service entrance, always after hours. Today would be different. As I pushed open the glass doors, the security guard who had seen me countless times mopping these same floors did a double take. Ms. Mitchell. I smiled, pulling out my CEO badge, the one that had stayed hidden in my desk drawer all these years. Good morning, Steve. And yes, it's exactly what you're thinking. The lobby fell silent as I walked toward the elevator. Employees who had barely noticed me before now stood frozen, coffee cups suspended midway to their mouths. I heard whispers, saw fingers pointing, noticed phones being pulled out to confirm what they were seeing. Is that the janitor? No way. She's the CEO. I thought the CEO was some reclusive genius who never showed up in person. The executive floor was even better. Jessica, my sister Olivia's best friend and NextGen's head of legal, nearly spilled her latte when I walked into the executive suite. She had spent years treating me like invisible. Now she couldn't take her eyes off me. Sarah, what are you? I mean, how? Hello, Jessica. I believe we have a merger meeting in 10 minutes. I've been looking forward to working with you directly instead of through emails. I walked into my office, my real office, for the first time. The nameplate on the door read Sarah Mitchell, Chief Executive Officer. The view of the city skyline was exactly as I remembered from my nights cleaning the windows. But now, finally, I could sit on the other side of the desk. My phone hadn't stopped buzzing since last night. 37 missed calls from my mother. 23 from Olivia. 15 from Marcus. Dozens of messages from other relatives who had suddenly discovered my existence. I opened one from my sister. Sarah, we need to talk. What you did last night was completely inappropriate. Do you have any idea how this makes our family look? Mom is devastated. Call me immediately. I deleted it without responding. Then came a message from Marcus. Hey sis, about all those times I offered you an entry-level job. I was just trying to help. Look, my investment firm would love to handle NextGen's portfolio. Family discount? Let's do lunch. Delete. My assistant Lisa knocked on the door. Ms. Mitchell, your 9 a.m. is here. The Sullivan Systems merger team, including your sister's law firm. I straightened my jacket, not designer, but impeccably tailored. Send them in. Olivia walked in first, her usual confident strut notably absent. Behind her, A team of lawyers clutched their briefcases like shields. My sister's face was a battlefield of conflicting emotions, embarrassment, anger, and a desperate attempt to maintain professional composure. Sarah, she managed, her voice strained. We weren't expecting. Clearly, I said, gesturing for everyone to sit. Now, about the merger terms. I believe your initial proposal significantly undervalues NextGen's AI technology. Let's discuss real numbers. For the next 2 hours, I dismantled every argument she presented. Years of watching, listening, and learning while invisible had taught me everything about our technology, our value, and our potential. Olivia, who had always prided herself on being the smartest person in any room, was completely outmatched. When the meeting ended, she lingered behind. How long were you going to keep this charade going? She demanded once we were alone. Do you have any idea how foolish our family looks now? I leaned back in my chair, my CEO chair, and looked at her carefully. Foolish? You mean like mocking your sister for years without bothering to know anything about her life? Like assuming someone's worth is measured by their job title. That's not fair. We were worried about you. Living in that tiny apartment, working as a janitor, while secretly building a billion-dollar company, I finished for her. Here's what's not fair, Olivia, spending years being treated like a failure by my own family because I didn't fit their definition of success. But why pretend to be a janitor? Why not just tell us? I stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the city I had helped build. Because I needed to understand this company from the ground up. Because being invisible taught me more than sitting in this office ever could. And because I wanted to succeed or fail on my own terms, not as a Mitchell. My phone buzzed again, my mother calling for the 38th time. I declined the call. Mom's hosting an emergency family dinner tonight, Olivia said quietly. She's insisting you come. Of course she is, I replied. Now that I'm successful by her standards, she wants to play the proud mother, but I'm not interested in her approval anymore. Sarah, please, you have to understand. This is a lot for them to process. Finding out their daughter, who they thought was struggling, is actually a secret CEO. It's overwhelming. I turned to face her. Overwhelming? Try being 19 and having your mother tell you you're a disappointment because you chose a state school. Try watching your family praise your siblings for every small achievement while ignoring your existence. Try sitting through family dinners where everyone treats you like a charity case. Olivia had the grace to look ashamed. I never meant to hurt you. No, you just never thought about me at all. Unless it was to make yourself feel better about your own choices. The intercom buzzed. Lissa's voice came through. Ms. Mitchell, your parents are here. They're quite insistent on seeing you. I sighed. Of course they were. Send them in. My mother burst through the door first, designer handbag swinging wildly. My father followed, looking uncomfortable in the unfamiliar environment. The last time they had visited NextGen, they had commented on how their poor Sarah couldn't even afford to work in a prestigious building like this. Sarah Elizabeth Mitchell. My mother's voice could have shattered windows. How dare you humiliate our family like this? Do you have any idea what people are saying? The daughter of Jonathan and Eleanor Mitchell working as a janitor. It's all over social media. I met her gaze steadily. Correction. The daughter of Jonathan and Eleanor Mitchell building a successful company while working as a janitor. Isn't that what you always wanted, for me to be successful? But, this isn't how it's done, she spluttered. The Mitchells have a reputation to maintain. We don't clean floors. No, I agreed. You just look down on people who do. Tell me, Mother, what's more important, that I built something meaningful, or that I did it in a way that embarrasses you? My father stepped forward, ever the businessman. Sarah, what your mother means is, well, this is quite unprecedented. But now that we know about your position, perhaps we can help. I have connections, experience, like the experience that led you to call NextGen a doomed startup 5 years ago. I interrupted. The connections that wouldn't give us a second look when we were struggling. No thank you, Dad. I did this my way, and I'll continue doing it my way. But think of the family name, my mother pleaded. I have. That's why I didn't use it to succeed. Everything NextGen has achieved, we did it without the Mitchell name, without the Mitchell connections, without the Mitchell money. I walked around my desk, running my hand along the smooth wood. You know what I learned as a janitor? I learned who treats service workers with respect and who doesn't. I learned which employees stay late because they care about their work and which ones stay late to look good. I learned things about this company that I never could have learned from this office. But surely now you'll stop this cleaning nonsense, my mother said, smoothing her silk blouse nervously. I smiled. Actually, I still do maintenance rounds sometimes. It keeps me grounded, helps me remember where I started. In fact, I checked my watch. I'm scheduled to clean the third-floor bathrooms in about an hour. My mother looked like she might faint. My father's jaw dropped. Even Olivia, who had been quietly watching this exchange, seemed shocked. You can't be serious, my mother whispered. A CEO cleaning bathrooms? Why not? Is it beneath me, or is it beneath you? The silence that followed was deafening. Finally, my father spoke, his voice different somehow, softer, almost proud. You really built all this yourself, didn't you? Yes, Dad, all of it. He nodded slowly. I never saw it, any of it. We were so focused on what we thought success should look like, that you missed what it actually looks like. I finished for him. My mother sank into a chair, her perfectly maintained facade cracking. All these years, we thought we were pushing you to be better, but you were already better than you imagined. Yes, but not in the way you measure success. I walked to the door and opened it. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a company to run and bathrooms to clean. Feel free to stop by tonight. I'll be mopping the lobby around 8. We can talk more then, if you're not too embarrassed to be seen with the janitor. After they left, I sat in my office, looking at the city lights coming on as dusk approached. My phone buzzed with yet another message, this time from my grandmother, the only one who had believed in me from the start. I always knew you'd do it your way, Sarah, and your way turned out to be the right way. I smiled, changed into my maintenance uniform, and grabbed my mop. Success doesn't always wear a designer suit or come with a prestigious degree. Sometimes it wears coveralls and carries cleaning supplies. Sometimes the best way to lead is to serve. And sometimes the person everyone looks down on is actually looking down on them. From the top floor of the building they own. That night, as I mopped the lobby floors, I saw my family's car pull up outside. They stood there for a long moment, watching through the glass doors. Then, one by one, they walked away. They weren't ready yet to accept this version of success, this version of me. But that was okay. I hadn't built NextGen Technologies for them. I had built it for the quiet ones, the overlooked ones, the ones who don't fit the traditional mold of success. And as I finished my rounds, turning off lights in offices where I had once been invisible, I knew I had succeeded in the most important way. I had become someone I was proud to be, regardless of who was watching.